Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to our discussions about the weekly episodes of HBO's The Last of Us Season 2. I got through the intro that time. It took me a couple times. I fumbled, thought this was podcast episode 4006. I don't know.
It was great. Great job.
We're here. Like I said, we've been talking about every episode since it started airing here in 2025. And we've done episodes about... That's a confusing way to say that. We've done conversations about episodes 1 and 2, episode 3, and today we're going to be doing episode 4 recap. If you're watching this, that means you're supporting us on Patreon, where this one and the third episode live. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate you. Hope you like these conversations that we have, and let us know if there are other, kind of conversational content like this that you might be interested in. Devin, high level, this episode is about Ellie and Dina. They get to Seattle and kind of what happens to them while they're initially there. Gives us a little backstory about Isaac and the how he became the leader of the wolves. And then Ellie and Dina at the end arrive at the movie theater. I think that's about it, like super high level.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think of episode 4, knowing there's only 3 more episodes this season?
I mean, overall, I would say I enjoyed it. I remember it ended and I was like, oh, darn.
Yeah.
I gotta watch something else now.
Yep. That general malaise that comes over you when you're like, crap, I gotta wait another week for this episode. Yeah, I get that feeling too.
Malaise?
Malaise, yeah. It's like your eyes glaze over. A malaise is like, ugh.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. No, I enjoyed the episode. I thought there were very sweet, good moments. Intense moments also. From them being chased and people coming into the room that they were in.
Yeah.
I was like, I've played the games and I still don't know how you're escaping this.
Yeah, I know, for real.
It was very, very intense. Josh Peck was in the beginning.
Yeah, that was just kind of, I guess, jumping to the beginning as we go through this recap of the episode. That was startled me as well.
It was so weird. I was like, there's no way.
Drake and Josh. But
you know what's
Josh
weird,
is kind of mean and grumpy.
Oh, yeah, he was driving me nuts. I was like, this guy.
Yeah.
But he was in it, and I thought, there is no way they are casting him as an important character in this show. Right. They wouldn't do it. I just don't. I like Josh Peck, honestly, from the...
I do, too.
The shows that he was in. I don't know what they were called. Can't remember, but they were fun. I was just thinking, HBO, there's no way they did this. And they didn't. Because his presence in the show was short-lived.
Yeah.
And he learned a lot about explosions.
Yeah, he did. So it shows him there kind of talking a big talk, and then Isaac is his like commanding officer in the back of that. What would you call it? It's not a tank, like a patrol vehicle, armored patrol vehicle. I don't know.
Yeah, Cybertruck.
Yeah. And then Isaac hops out, meets with somebody named Hanrahan, pulls one dude out, says, hey, come with me, because I guess he thought he was like the most nice, savable one.
Yeah, I agree. I think he saw something in that kid. Yeah,
I think so too, which was kind of a cool moment, even though you see that kid again 11 years later in the show, and he real mean. But yeah, and then it seems like she was the leader. I couldn't tell, but probably the leader of the wolves. He joins with them, pulls 2 grenades out, throws them in the back of the armored patrol vehicle, locks the door from the outside, and no more Josh Peck. So,
darn it.
I do like the character, or the actor that plays Isaac. I think his name's Jeffrey Wright. He also played him in the game. But in the game, they changed his face a bit more, so it was mostly just his voice. But I really like him. He's in like the Hunger Games, I think, and like Westworld, and
yeah, what else is he in?
He's in a lot of stuff.
I'm drawing a blank right now, but I've seen him in a lot of things as well.
Yeah, I agree. I like him. He has like a commanding voice. Kind of reminds me of like other actors, like what's his name? David. There's a What's his name? Keith David, like a commanding voice. And anyways, he kind of reminds me of that. I like Isaac quite a bit. He's like an intimidating character. So that kind of backstory scene was kind of cool, I thought. Then yeah, we jump 11 years later. It's Ellie and Dina. They're scavenging through, what was it, a store? Like a little shop?
They definitely went into a store at one point. Yeah, I don't know.
Because that's where Dina finds the pregnancy tests. But I feel like they were trying to find other stuff first, like pulling open drawers and stuff. It was kind of fun to see them scavenging through a room. They seemed, this kind of surprised me how on the nose they were with like making it obvious that she's looking for a pregnancy test and like that she must obviously be pregnant. Because I don't think even like my wife, who's never played the game, put that together from like the third. It was either the third episode where she like puked after seeing like the dead bodies. I don't think Lacey had put that together yet until like the first couple minutes of this episode where she like obviously puts like 7 of something boxed thing in her backpack, and Lacey.
Yeah, I instantly thought I know what that is.
Yeah, and Lacey was like, "Oh, she's pregnant. That's why she puked." And I was like, "Okay, well, they maybe like did that a little too clean or too perfect, but it was fine. Made for a pretty good reveal later. So that was good. They see the radio tower, which was kind of like they tried to make it look pretty similar to how it did in the game. To be honest, kind of a rectangle shaped building with kind of like a wrap of satellites towards the top or something. It's like a news station or something. And on their way there, I don't know. I don't think they did much other than they're kind of scavenging through these stores, and then they do end up at the music shop, which I think is one of the most famous side quests from The Last of Us Part 2, because you can actually totally skip it. It's during that section where it's kind of like halfway open world for a minute, where you're marking stuff on the map.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you can just like go to the objective, or you can explore a bit, and there's like the bank vault that you could miss, and then there's obviously the music store. And the famous part of that is Ellie singing "Take on Me" to Dino on the guitar. I love that song.
Oh, so do I. Yes, and that scene actually was pretty well done in my opinion.
It really was. I was really surprised, and in like the after episode conversation with the directors and stuff, Bella Ramsey really plays the guitar. So
wow.
So I guess she really played it, and it sounded like she really sang it. So like, props to her. That's pretty cool.
Before she plays the song, though, she pissed me off for a second. Just so you know.
Oh, what'd she do?
You make it to Seattle.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, we don't know exactly where the people are that we're trying to kill, but me and my hardcore personality, I'm just gonna rip this tank door open and slam it.
Oh, right. Yeah, the tank. I remember.
And Dina's
that.
like, "Oh no!
Be quiet.
Like, this is a serious moment. I got my gun out." Like,
she's afraid like a horde of zombies that just hit Jackson might be on its way.
Yeah, and there was also hints of all these people going through those areas. It's just like
dead bodies. Yeah, exactly.
You're driving me nuts. I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan of Dina.
Yeah, Dina's really cool.
Ellie.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one, I think, theme I've noticed, at least from clips I've seen online, people talking about, like, why is Ellie, like, so useless, it seems like, in the show? And Dina is, like, the one that's, like, prepped and capable, whereas in the game, like, Ellie seemed very, like, older, capable, violent, scary, prepped. So it is, like, a slightly different change, I feel like. And scenes like that one where they have her like accidentally drop the lid of the tank. I'm like, I don't know if that helped Bella Ramsey seem like
and I put myself in that scenario, and you've got to be careful in this intense world. And she's been through so much. You don't just let go of a metal door on top of a tank. Anyways, it wasn't that big of a deal. I wasn't that mad, but I was just like,
yeah, it seems like a silly mistake. Like, it would have been one thing if, like, I don't know, she, like, got in the tank or something and, like, or that's a bad example. Maybe they're, like, riding the horse and, like, the horse steps on, like, a cable that, like, knocks, like, knocks something over. It's, like, out of her control. but she was like holding the tank that's like directly in her control. So it did seem like a weird way to.
Or if like the horse was like got in the tank and drove the tank.
That's a better example. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That would have made more sense for sure. So yeah, I was really waiting for that moment. His hooves to spread like fingers so he could like push the buttons.
I thought he was gonna be singing "Take on Me" as well.
Oh, gotta love Shimmer for the 5 more seconds we get him.
Wow, I'm hot. Anyways, so the song was great. She actually did a good job. I thought her voice wasn't like overdone or modified where it, like they made her such a good singer. It was good though.
It was.
She could hit some notes and
kind of reminded me of how Ashley Johnson sang it for Ellie in the game.
Yeah, and the way Dina. I'm sure this is talked about a lot because to me it really stood out the way she was just admiring her.
Yeah, very tender.
Yeah, it was super, super tender. It was like, okay, here's something beautiful in a world that's so ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And touching. I have goosebumps right now.
Yeah, I thought that was great too. I think that Dina played in the TV show is done the same way that Dina is done in the game mostly, but like elevated a bit because that actress is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like that scene is very similar in the game where she's like kneeling there watching Ellie sing the song, and you can tell like she's having a moment, but you could tell a lot more in the show that she. Yeah,
it's also hard in video games to kill it with eyeballs and hair.
Yeah, even though Naughty Dog is the best at that.
Yeah, it's just
it really is
a real human face, and she killed it in acting that scene and was just kneeling right in front of her. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Yeah, great scene, great song. I like that rendition where like she's not trying to like hit all the high notes. She like goes down an octave when like instead of like trying to bust that out. Can you imagine the horse? I know.
The horse has to step in to hit the
So yeah, Take on Me. It was a great scene. I don't know that I have any complaints with that scene, to be honest. No. I thought it was really good. Okay, next we jump to Isaac. He's back in some kitchen talking about how much he loves cookware.
Oh yeah, he'll get one of those one day.
He will, yeah. And you can't tell who he's talking to for a minute as he's talking about how much he loves these pots and pans.
I was confused too. I was like, is there someone else in the room or is this guy nuts?
Yep. And then there's the naked scar on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
A little surprised at how naked he was, but there he was.
He was full naked.
Yep. They've been like very strategic with like nudity in the show, where like everything is covered like strategically by camera angle. So I was kind of surprised they didn't do that with this one. But whatever, they do. Do you? I guess. Kind of an intense scene. That scene has been shown in some trailers for the season and like trailers from week to week, like next week on The Last of Us or whatever, like they kind of do. And so I thought that character was going to be Lev. But it did look a little older than Lev. Like, that character looked 15, 16, maybe even as old as 18 or 20. I don't know. Where Lev is, 10, 12. I don't know how old Lev is.
Why am I not remembering who Lev is?
Lev.
Goodness gracious, I'm bad with names.
Is the one that Abby saves. That's with Yara.
We'll continue forward.
Anyways, I thought it was Lev. But then Isaac kills this Scar and it says not Lev. But anyways, Isaac's torturing this Scar for a while with the cookware that he got really hot. It was kind of brutal.
It was brutal because that the guy that was being tortured really stood on his beliefs in a way.
Yeah, it was kind of impressive. He gets the burn on one hand and
puts the other hand out.
I'm not gonna tell you where the next attack is. Like, I believe in our cause enough. Puts his other hand out. That was like a powerful scene.
Everyone from the wolves comes to our clan basically, or our belief system, and they don't leave.
Yeah,
I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I I liked the scene. It was kind of brutal. That wound he got on his hand was rough looking. Um, but yeah, kind of just showed. I think that scene was important for a couple of things. It showed like how much more unhinged like Isaac is now 11 years later. Like obviously he threw the grenades in the back of the armored like truck. Mm-hmm. So he never was like super hinged, but he's a bit more unhinged now, torturing people with his favorite pans. And then just standing right outside of the door is that kid that he saved from the truck and pulled out.
I didn't notice that.
And okay, yeah, the same kid, and you could tell he's like also like darker and meaner. He says,
"Oh, was he the one that said he deserved
what
it?
He got deserved or whatever."
Oh, yeah. It seemed like the other kid there was like, "Whoa, this is intense."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So I think the scene did accomplish those things really well, even though it was kind of brutal. So good scene, rough, but again, Isaac. I think it's cool. He's getting a little more scene time because he's like the leader of this wolf group and he's going to be pretty close with Abby and stuff. So it is cool to see some more of that. After that scene, we go back to Ellie and Dina. They're sneaking into this radio tower that they've saw in the distance. And I think they first walk in and it's that open room with the hanging bodies from the ceiling, which is pretty much copied from the game, like almost exactly, I think. Very gross scene. Did you watch the after episode stuff this week?
I did not, actually.
They showed how they did that, and they actually put like real people hanging up there in harnesses with the fake intestines hanging off them because they thought it looked better than like a a fake. And what would you use? Like some kind of puppet or something? Like I feel like I saw a video quite a few years ago of, I don't remember if it was Guardians of the Galaxy or something, where like they were holding what looked like Chris Pratt, but it was like fake Chris Pratt. You remember that?
They like created this fake mannequin.
Right. And so I'm like, I feel like HBO could have just made those, but it did look very convincing, and probably the fact that they used actual people up there in harnesses helped. So creepy scene. The wolves do come in. There's blood and writing all over, and obviously intestines hanging everywhere from the scars. So it's kind of an intense scene. Ellie and Dina like get in a fight with one or two of the wolves before escaping out of a window. And the one note I wrote here was Ellie fighting. Does she look very scary or capable? Like, this kind of just goes back to like the difference between Ellie in the game and Bella Ramsey, and we just talked about this with her dropping the tank lid, and like, is she as capable in the show? And she seems just less capable. I don't know if it's the way they're writing her on purpose or if it's how Bella Ramsey like looks or is acting. I have no problem with it. I think she's acting it very well.
Agreed.
But it's acted slightly differently.
In the game, you do a lot of sneaking around, and it seems relatively easy or automatic to choke someone out or finish someone. And in this episode, it seemed like every ounce of energy that I have in my entire body needs to go into this one random NPC.
Right. And maybe that's just like a smart change from the game to the show, to show that like every fight is like excruciating. But that is the note I wrote down. Like, Ellie doesn't look as capable because of that. But maybe it's because they don't want her to feel like a video game character that's immune from ever being hurt or dying after we just watched Joel die, So that probably does make sense. But then these these wolves, after they kill one of them, basically chase them through like this back alley. They climb through some rubble in a doorway, and they're eventually down in like that metro station with the wolves throw like the flares in with the red lights, which is a scene from the game, which is a cool scene where you can decide to like set the infected kind of on the scars. I keep saying scars on the enemies, the wolves in this scenario. And man, that was a very cool like set of action scenes for like those 7 to 10 minutes of the episode. They see like the scars keep saying they see the wolves come in, throw the flares, and they're like trying to figure out like, can we hide? And then they see, I don't know if they see it or if the camera just shows like the audience. You see like the tendrils like around the flare, and then you start to hear the clickers coming. And then there's so many of them that they're not able to hide anymore, and they jump down inside the train car. And I thought that scene, the entire scene in the train car, super cool.
Oh yeah, the gun sounded really good and like meaty, and it was intense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to remember like every scene. There's like them trying to break in, and you're like, maybe they won't be able to break in for a minute, and then they like close one train car door, and then the clicker's like right behind them, and they almost get caught in there a few times. Yeah, excellent scene. Very cool set that they had made there with like the broken down metro station and that entire like metro train. I don't know what those are called, subway train. I don't know, with multiple cars connected together, and even like Lacey said this when they went between the two cars. She's like, that section between the two cars with like the black rubber.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's like a creepy spot for some reason, as they're like kind of pushing on it or whatever.
And then she shuts a door, and right behind in that section is a clicker.
That's right. Yeah, to show that they're like in the train now. Yeah.
Back to my point on episode 1 or 2, the attack on Jackson.
Yeah.
They have amped up the intensity and the force of the infected in this show.
They really
it is crazy. The sheer numbers and brutality and them working together, and we will break into this train so aggressively. You don't get that as much in the game.
No, yeah. In the game, you feel pretty safe around. I mean, you feel like you can always get out of something, like. Whereas, like, you're totally right. Like, you felt like 2 more seconds in that train and they're caught and dead.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So I agree. I think that's been a good change.
Mm-hmm.
Even though.
Makes them scary.
Yeah, it does make him scary. I kind of was like, do I like this? It's kind of distracted from episode 2 with, like, Joel's story. But, man, it made episodes 2 like a very strong, like, episode of television all around. It was like, action, crazy, Joel dies, action, bonkers. So I agree. I think that's been a really good change. They finally like escape the top of the train. Did they get out through the top? I think they did. And then they like shut the little, and then they're able to run like up some stairs.
Yeah, they jump off the train, and then instantly they like all look over at them and start booking it, and they find like a chain link fence type thing that they climb up.
Right.
And then they're up the stairs, and those things are breaking right through that fence. Once again, they are intense in this show.
They're fast. Kind of reminds me of, they seem more like the zombies from like 28 Days Later.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just like, they're going to catch you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. Very fast. Which is, again, cool change. This did lead to the scene I've been, like, thinking about. How are they going to do this? Where one of them does catch Ellie and Dina while they're trying to get through like that twisty door.
Yeah. You were right.
And I was right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Ellie had to get bit. It was the only way they could do it. And, I really love the scene in the game. I've talked about this a bunch, where her mask breaks and there's spores, and Dina's about to take hers off to like help her, which would have killed Dina. But this was a really cool way to do a similar scene without spores. Even though, spoilers, they bring spores back in a second. We'll get to that in a second, which confuses me a bit. But so yeah, Dina's is behind, or is second to go through like the twisty door, and so she's about to get bit, and Ellie like sticks her arm through. What are those doors called? Or like at the zoo? Twisty door.
The twisty heavy door.
I don't know, but yeah, Ellie sticks her arm through there and makes sure that it bites her instead.
I need to go rewatch it, because my first impression was that looked weird. It was almost like she was like magnetic to the mouth of the thing or something. I need to go rewatch it, because maybe it wasn't.
Okay, like it happened too easy. Like she got it exactly.
Like it just like looked so odd, like unnatural. Like I almost wish she had been like trying to pull Dina in harder, but the approach was more like, I'm immune.
Let me get my arm in there.
And it was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that too. Like if she was able to like kind of push her out of the way and like bit her on the shoulder or something, that maybe would have been.
Yes, it almost looked like instead of her trying to get Dina through, it was this weird animation. I need to go rewatch it because I could be off, but
she's like, I'm not going to help you, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll have to watch it. But all in all, I liked the scene. It kind of led to some good drama there with them. You could tell Dina obviously super stressed about it. Ellie trying to like stay cool, and probably is cool because she probably forgot in that moment. Oh yeah, I haven't told Dina yet that I'm immune. And so yeah, they get into the movie theater and barricade it just similarly to how they do in the game with like the doors down through the chair legs down through the handles. And it seems like this will kind of be their home base, just like it is in the game. And then they kind of have their standoff where Dina pulls a gun on her, and Ellie has to talk her out of like shooting her. And I feel like it was handled pretty well too. Again, I like the Spore thing better, but they have a pretty good conversation. Like, look, I'm not shaking. I'm gonna go lay down, take a little nap. Like, keep the gun on me. I promise. Like, everything's gonna be fine.
It would be hard to convince someone of that in a world where you've never seen that outcome.
It would be.
So she diffused it relatively well. And there was a point where I was like, Dina, calm down. You don't need to shoot her yet. She's not going to instantly in 1 second change and run at you at the speed of light. But at the same time, it's justified.
Yeah.
It's probably extremely emotional for her because in Dina's head, she knows I just lost you.
Right. Yeah.
It's without question.
Mm.
And she's like, oh, well, Ellie's making this up so I don't shoot her.
Right. Mm. You know? Yeah, I agree. I think if you try to put yourself in their like shoes, then yeah, the scene becomes like good and heavy and like tough decisions. And how it was acted and written was pretty good, but didn't like pervade. Well, pervade's not the right word. Portray that like perfectly well, but I thought it was done pretty well.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to be able to see Dina's face a little bit more. It was gun and flashlight. You could see Ellie and what she was trying to say, right. And then it was just gun and flashlight.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too, because it was like you couldn't even see the outline or anything. It was just the flashlight. Yep. I wonder why they did that for him. Maybe it was to like trick the audience. Like, is she pissed? Is she crying? Like, how serious does she look? Yeah, exactly. He got a flashlight up. Yeah. That Shimmer, man, he can do no wrong.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I would have loved it. But yeah, it was kind of, I thought the same thing. I was like, why are they covering her face so much with the light? But it must like build some extra tension when you think you're supposed to be able to see the character's face, but then you can't.
Kind of weird. I was almost convinced that she was just shooting her right there.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the reason for it.
Yeah, it seemed like that was like a likely outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Just based on, again, how well Dina acted it, because she's great at acting, and like the flashlight thing and stuff. So yeah, that was good. The payoff there is she eventually believes her after the nap, and she's not like, you know, the infection or the bite doesn't look any worse. She's not shaking. She tells Ellie she's pregnant. I think some of the, and they're, you know, happy and make out or whatever. I think some of the
some of the briefly skip it. They were like happy they made out or whatever.
Yeah, the horse was there too, you know, whatever. Some more critique I've seen online is kind of some of the writing around Ellie's response to Dina being pregnant.
I'm gonna be a dad.
I'm gonna be a dad is a big one, yeah. Like, she doesn't say that in the game. In the game, she's actually a little bit mad because Dina has known for longer than just that day. In the show, Dina just, you know, had maybe been curious and thought maybe, but then took the pregnancy tests that day and then told her. So I guess it makes sense. She's not quite as mad. But in the game, she's like, man, you should have told me. Like, how long have you known? And Dina says, like, a few weeks, I think. And she says, like, a few weeks? Like, we could have turned around, like, forever ago and gone back. Like, you would have been safe. And now you're kind of like a burden. And so it is interesting that they chose to change that. I don't mind them having less conflict about that. But then, yeah, like the dad comment was odd.
What do the people, what would they have preferred, she said? I've seen a video or two on the I'm going to be a dad thing.
Yeah.
What's a good response for Ellie in that scenario? Just do
what
the
weird.
Game did?
I don't know. Because I feel like in that scenario, trying to put myself in Ellie's shoes, I would have asked and been like, I'd love to be like part of this and help raise the kid too. Instead of like immediately jumping to the assumption like, oh, I think I just barely found out that I think Dina likes me. All of a sudden I'm the dad.
Oh, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think I would have been like, hey, I'd love to like help out. I know this is like yours and Tommy's, not Tommy's, Jesse's but like
yours and Joel's.
Yeah. But like I'd love to, help out and be a part of this. But it just seemed like, okay, she's kissed me now. I'm the dad.
Okay, yeah. That's making sense. So more of an approach of like, I'm here for you. I don't know how we're gonna figure this out, but we will together.
Yeah. It just seemed a little assumptive, like
she's already named the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dina might be like, "Whoa, I don't like you that much." So, anyways, it was pretty good moments. Just maybe a weird line or two, but I got over it pretty quick. So it didn't really bug me. I know some people have been like, "Man, it's hard on the internet. Outrage culture like gets clicks and views, and so people
100%, even if they don't hate it that much.
This is the worst thing ever. I can't believe we're still watching this show. Can't believe Ellie said she's a dad,
even though it's so good.
Yeah, so I'll forgive a weird line. All right, and then next I wrote my note here is they hear Nora's name on the radio. Did the radio just start making noise there in the movie theater?
They heard, yes, explosions outside, and instantly their walkie-talkie was going off.
That's right. Did they go up to the roof first and then it picked it up?
I think they were inside, and then they went to the roof to see what the explosion was.
I think you're right. And then that's where they can see the hospital, which will be the next destination. I think the couple of notes I wrote here is Dina gonna go with her?
I was shocked by that as well, because it ends with them going, we do this together or whatever.
Right, because in the game at this point, Dina's feeling pretty sick. She stays at the movie theater for like most of the rest, because at this point Jesse shows up.
Yes,
and Jesse becomes the companion with Ellie through most of this. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens immediately or if Dina does go, which would be pretty big change. I don't know that I hate the change, but again, I do feel like Jesse and Tommy have to get to Seattle sometime soon. I think it has to.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And we saw nothing about either one of them or anything related to Jackson.
And we've got 3 episodes left?
3 episodes left. So
crazy.
They did seem to be sticking to the Seattle Day 1, 2, and 3 thing. Like they put that on the screen. The episode was called Day 1. And I think they showed like Seattle Day 1 on the screen. But then they didn't show any of, other than some of Isaac's stuff, they didn't show any of Abby's Day 1 stuff. So maybe they're going to stay pretty close to the Day 1, 2, and 3 thing. With 3 more episodes, you could do like Day 2 and 3, maybe stretched over. Yeah, but then what would the 3rd episode be? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they do that.
Either way, it's going to be rough when this season ends because we're not going to have enough.
It's true. Yeah. Because even though the video game is seems like a cliffhanger at that moment where you're like, oh, we're just about to get there. And then it really changes gears for 10 hours. You get to do those 10 hours like now. You don't have to wait a year and a half or 2 years for them to be filmed. So I agree. And I think, is that how the episode ended, with them looking over at the hospital? And it's just like, this is what's next, kind of.
As far as I remember.
That is the ending. So yeah, all in all, I think it was a good episode, good moments. Again, everything in the subway station with the train cars, like excellent, like action sequence. creepy moments with the torture scene and the wolves hanging up. You didn't watch the What's Coming Next thing, which
I did not.
It's probably cool that you don't, and so I feel bad spoiling them for you each week on here. But the one thing that I wanted to just mention from that up next sequence is they have like a narrator say, like, I think talking about the bottom layer, the basement of the hospital. And she's like, yeah, it's so bad down there, like the infections in the air. And I'm like, okay, you purposely didn't do spores up until this point so that your characters don't have to have gas masks and stuff, and like, I get it. But why introduce them now? I think it's because they can have Ellie kind of torture Nora the exact same way, where like she kind of chases her down there.
Yeah.
And Nora's like really struggling, in essence dying as she becomes one of the infected. And Ellie's just down there fine because obviously she can breathe it just fine. And then she kind of has to torture some information about where Abby is out of her before she turns. So that's probably why they did it, but it does seem like a weird change when they were so specific about not doing it. And then on like the up next section to end this episode, they're like, yeah, but down there, the infection's in the air. And
yeah, they're
like,
doing.
Well, what are you
they're
doing?
Doing both ways.
So I don't hate it. It's just it just does seem like a weird change to, well, we don't want to do spores. And we're gonna do the scene where Ellie tells Dina she's immune in a different way, but we want Ellie to be able to torture Nora in the same way. Okay, I guess so. It's fine. But weird change, in my opinion. We'll see. They did handle the Dina thing pretty well, so I imagine they'll handle the rest of this pretty well too. And maybe that, like, basement being like ultra, like, crazy infected will be like. Okay, here's another thing. She actually said, like, it's so infected and in the air, there's not even rats down there. I'm pretty sure that was the line, which made me think of
the Rat King.
The Rat King, which comes later with Abby.
Yeah, was the Rat King in like an arcade?
I think the Rat King is in the bottom of maybe a different hospital because there's like a quarantine section with like those like zippered doors.
Oh, right. That's what that was. Okay.
I don't know if it's a different or the same hospital. Maybe it's the same hospital, and that's where they like find Nora later.
But, I remember now.
So maybe it's building up to that,
mm-hmm.
which is going to be a cool moment. But I imagine that moment's not for a while, unless they do start jumping over to Abby's story as well. So it'll be interesting to see. Are they going to jump over to Abby and the Rat King? Or
I actually would be down. We haven't got to see too much of this new Abby yet.
Yeah. I agree.
I'd be fine with an episode of that.
I would too, because we haven't seen her at all, right? Since Joel.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So we'll see. Maybe they will break from the game structure, and that was a little hint towards that. Well, Devin, I think that's it for our recap of episode 4. Good episode, I thought.
Gosh, it's such a good show.
It really is. Just highest quality. Sometimes there's a line you don't love, and sometimes I think we're too protectionist of like, well, they said a line slightly different than my Ellie did in the game. They're the worst. But I try to give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit. It does bum me out that there's only 3 episodes left because I feel like there is so much more left to cover. And I don't even know where they'll choose to cut it, but it'll be fun to see.
I'm excited as well.
Me too. All right, well, that's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching this recap of episode 4. Thanks so much for supporting us here on Patreon. It helps us keep the lights on. And we hope to do more exclusive stuff like this in the future. So your support helps us to be able to do that too. So look forward to that. And we'll see you next week for our recap of episode 5. Till then, adios.